expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Welcome back, folks, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I just gave you guys a few tidbits on the 2024 home decor report that just came out. And again, if you want your hands on that report, it's 19 pages. It's full of all kinds of statistics and color options and design aesthetics and just recommendations on what to do and what not to do to have those expenditures be as cost effective as possible, right? And hopefully become a profitable venture. If you'd like that, then just text the word design to 843-800-0065. I'll send that right over to you. All right. So I want to talk just a little bit about this process of getting your home fixed or maybe even renovated before you put it on the market. And before we took a break, my biggest piece of advice here is don't wait to call the real estate agent until after all this work is done. Because some of us, like me, that work with a lot of investors, that am an investor myself, that have done, over $100 million worth of investment-based deals, probably more, frankly. We've got a big Rolodex of people that can help us with whatever we need from a contractor's perspective, okay? But on top of that, and just as importantly, we can help you make sense out of not just the cost, but the return, right? If we're going to do something to a property to sell it, let's look first at repairs. Let's say your home needs a new roof. It's, depending upon the size of the house, it's going to be $8, $10, $15, $20, $25,000. Just depends on the size of the house, right? Maybe it's approaching the end of its useful life. Like where maybe your roof is 18 years old and it's getting to be time to replace it. It's $15,000, but it's not leaking, right? This would be preventative maintenance. The question is, do I replace my roof now and have that be a benefit to the buyer, or do I try to just negotiate that once the deal is presented and agreed upon? And I will say that in the overwhelming majority of situations that we come across, it makes much more sense to negotiate that as part of the deal. You just have to make sure that the buyer making you an offer isn't double dipping, meaning they've made you an offer that already takes into consideration the fact that the roof needs to be replaced, which you accept. But then they get a home inspection and say, oh yeah, it's at the end of its useful life. It needs to be replaced now and I want you to replace it. Well, obviously you've already reduced your price at some level, right? Hopefully not the full value of the roof. You've already accounted for that in the deal, right? So the goal would be to get away with giving that buyer something and acknowledging like, yeah, hey, I get it. In the next probably 12 months or whatever, you're probably going to need to replace the roof before it starts leaking. All right. And then it causes more problems. So it would be much better to give them a few $1,000s than to spend $15,000. Same thing with like HVAC systems. Rather than replacing an HVAC system, which, those things can run astronomically high depending upon the size of your home and how many you have and what all is needed. Offer them a 1-year home warranty or even a 5-year home warranty, right? A home warranty costs $550 one time at closing. And for the next 12 months, if that HVAC system needs to be repaired or replaced, all they spend is like $75 or $90 or something like that. And they could potentially get a brand new system. So why not give somebody $500 and save yourself $20,000? There's little things like this that you pick up over time, when you do 1,500 transactions that save people a ton of money in the process. It just takes some forward thinking. It takes discussions. But if we don't have the ability to have those discussions, right? In other words, if you contact us after all the work's been done, the money's already been spent. Give yourself the option of saving money by calling us first and consulting you on how this is all going to play out so that we can save you money, time, and frustration. But with regard to repairs, repairs for the most part are necessary, right? They're either going to be negotiated up front at the time that the buyer makes you an offer, or they're going to be negotiated after the fact when they get their home inspection. The important thing about repairs is that you, the owner, want to control as best you can how much those repairs cost. So let's say that I walk into a house and we know that, there's some wood rot and maybe there's some, peaks and valleys in the floor. Maybe we've got some foundation related issues. Maybe we've got some dry rot down there. Maybe we've got, some joists that need to be sistered. Maybe there's moisture related. Who knows? I would rather have quotes from reputable contractors that tell me how much this stuff is going to be to fix, rather than just say, well, we know that these things are likely going to come up when the buyer gets their home inspection, and we'll prepare to negotiate it at that point in time. Doing that without having the necessary information is reckless, in my opinion. Because if the buyer is going to have their contractor come out to your property, they're not going to do you any favors. They're not going to give you the best price. If they know the bill's being paid by you, the seller, then why not get the most money they can, right? That's just the nature of the business. Control the cost. If you don't have the money to do it, at least find out how much it should cost to make those repairs and use that when you're negotiating your deal so that you don't get taken advantage of. But again, these are things that need to be discussions before the property even goes on the market. When it comes to renovating, right? Repairs and renovations are different, right? If we're renovating, we're improving the property to try and sell it for more money. And that's the big question, right? Is will it result in you selling your home for more money than you're spent, right? There's got to be a return on the investment. Otherwise, what's the point? The great thing about working with a real estate agent, especially one that has flipped a lot of property and has sold a lot of property, is they can walk into a house and they can say, all right, well, if you just sell your home as is right now, this is about how much you can expect. If you decide to do these things, this is how much these things will cost you, but this is how much we'll be able to sell your home for. Now, sometimes that analysis results in a profit. Sometimes it doesn't. Again, it depends on the area. It depends on trends within that area. Depends on the price point of the home. If you've got a home that's worth $300,000 and you want to do a $70,000 kitchen renovation, I'm here to tell you that you're not going to get more than $70,000 out of that house if everything else that's being sold is in the $300,000, $350,000 range. You're overspending for your kitchen. And there are plenty of people that have, obviously enjoyed what they've done to their home, but they've overimproved and they're just not going to get the money back. So if you're looking at this from a purely financial decision, then we need to understand, what can we do? How much will that cost? And what will that result in when we go and we sell the property? Is there profit to be made? And do you have the ability to renovate your property in order to sell it for more money, for a profit, right? Or is that something that we need to help you secure short-term financing on, which is available, right? There are options out there for you to borrow the money and either make monthly payments or have it be just one big lump sum after the property sells. I own a private money lending company, so that's something we can help with. But that's really the process that I would prefer people go through if they're thinking about renovating their home to sell. Call us first. Let's consult. Let's discuss the market. Let's figure out what makes sense to do and not do. And is there a profit to be made, or are we just spinning our wheels, and are we setting ourselves up for failure? Right? That's a big question. And it's something that takes a little bit of extra time and effort, but it also takes somebody that understands how to do that. So again, if you're thinking about renovating or repairing your home, you're getting ready to sell it, call me before you start doing work to the property so that we can make sure you're spending your money wisely. My number is 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. You can call or text that number. Come straight to me. Or you can go to listingsincharleston.com. Listingsincharleston.com. That's our company's website. And of course, you can see our videos on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. You can listen to our podcast on iTunes and Spotify and Google Play. Which we want to share the information in as many different ways as possible. So stick around. We've got a few minutes left here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Have a real estate question? Ask Brian Beatty. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-888-0065. That's 843-888-0065.